Peace and blessings, beautiful people. It is good to be here. I actually almost said, welcome to another episode of Self-Care Made Simple. You get something in, I guess you call it muscle memory. Well, for those who don't know me, my name is Ade Anifuwoshi. I am known by many titles, or maybe I should say I know myself by many titles. Some of you may know me as Life Coach Ade, self-care specialist, transformation agent, transformational guide. What else? A podcaster, a drummer, sacred drummer, author, I think I said that, radio host. Maybe you're meeting me for the first time. I don't know. I would never know unless you tell me. And you may even tell me you're meeting me for the first time, and then one day it might hit you and say, wait a minute, no, I've met you before. And all of that would make sense. And even around the titles, what I want to talk about today is my walk with the fear of rejection. I'm really sharing a story, my story. And I believe that some of you would be able to relate to my story. You may actually be living my story. You may be in a place where you're living the story. When I say my story, you're living my story, but it's really your story. But you may be in a place where you're afraid to tell that story. So, for those who have lived this story, well done. For those who are living this story, well done. For those who are afraid to tell the truth about living this story, keep on keeping on. And the story, as I said, is my walk with the fear of rejection. And this is going to be in several parts. I don't know how many, because I'm recording based on an inner guidance, inner nudge to do this. And it feels right. See, when truth hits you, it feels right. So let me start here. Whenever I'm doing an event, hosting an event, or, I guess I can leave it as that, facilitating a workshop or whatever, doing a radio show, a podcast, the topic of that show, I find that of course, listening for what I need to say, what I need to do, what is necessary to share. And I also address it from a place of what's in this for me? What's in it for me? Because essentially, we teach what we need to learn. And those of us who do my kind of work of spiritual growth and transformation, healing work, some of us call ourselves intuitives, empaths, healers, all kind of fancy names, where the attention is more on the inside, supporting people to live from the inside out. When we listen to the guidance, to our ancestors, to God, to the higher self, the universe, whatever name you want to call it, it just makes sense to surrender to the energy and the vibration of the topic, of the theme, of the course that we're facilitating, teaching, or whatever the case may be. And I always find that for me, that's real. So I have and I want to say this, but I know saying it it only means what it means to you, because we all bring our meaning to a conversation. This may sound like a promotion of my next event. Maybe it is. But really, it isn't. What it really is me being an example of what I teach. And because I have said yes to facilitating this gathering, this session called Representing Our Stories, What's in a Name, it's working me already. And I have a responsibility to surrender to the process. And I'm also accountable to the divine. I'm accountable to the part of me, the higher self, the capital S self, to be authentic. And also being an example, for me, being an example of what I'm inviting people to step into. I haven't even started the conversation and we're halfway there because I think I'm going to break the story into segments of 10 minutes. So what I will do will start from the beginning. My father moved to Germany. I think it was 1962. Or was it 64? Something like that, I can't remember. It's around that time. And then they were there for 3 years. Mom later joined him and they moved to UK. My mom was pregnant with me when they moved from Germany to UK. And she was 6 months pregnant. And the story of most West Africans back then is to come overseas from Nigeria, the continent, Africa, to study, to progress, to earn a living, to make money, to take back home and support their family. So my parents were on a quest to be more, to take care of their family. My parents left 2 children when they were in Nigeria, my older brother and my older sister. When my mother gave birth to me, my father told me 2 months later they found a nanny. And some of you have heard this story before, those of you who follow me regularly. I'm not going to say I'm telling it differently, but I'm bringing context to this fear of rejection, how I see it, how I understand it, the catalyst for it. And it's necessary for the backstory because I'm in a place where I'm representing my story and how I name my experience. So about 2 months later, I was with a nanny. So I was about 2 months old. I stayed with that nanny for 2 weeks. My parents took me away from the nanny because my father smelled alcohol in my breath. Gasp, I know. And my father concluded that the reason she gave me alcohol was to put me to sleep. Basically get me drunk so I could shut the flip up. And the reason behind that is my father said, it's interesting when I think about as an infant, as a baby, I know more about my story from my father's perspective. My mom is not necessarily a talker. She's not here anymore. She's transitioned. My father still is here in the physical body. My mom is here, but she's just not in the physical body. I cried a lot as a baby. My father said they didn't know why. So they think that's why she gave me alcohol. Anyway, they found out that day, took me out. 2 weeks later, they found another nanny who was living outside of London called Hastings. And they got along with her. And that's, as far as I can say now, that was a beginning of a deeper truth journey experience. And I'm going to continue that on part 2. All right. Was that a good enough cliffhanger? It gets interesting. See you in part 2.